Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about how YouTube helped me face my fear of being on camera and how it can help you too. And so I've been sharing tips for people who want to get on YouTube, who are ready to just jump in, who are ready to start sharing their stories, start building community, and just start connecting around what makes them unique, as well as those who just want to uplift others by just putting their story out there because stories are powerful. I shared in a previous video how everything we do is just shaped around stories. Movies, that's a story. Books, stories. If you're studying history, you're studying a story about, time and how people got to wherever they are. Whatever it is that we're looking at, it is a story. If you write, it doesn't matter. All of it is stories, commercials, stories, telling things that help us all connect. And stories are powerful because they draw people and they also repel and push different people away. Some people won't like your story, and that's something that you just have to be okay with. Some people won't even like you. People don't like me, and it's okay because the point is that you're supposed to be putting it out there for who needs it. And not everybody will need what you have to offer. That's just the truth. Like we go to stores all the time. I could run to the store and walk past a million things that I don't need. And that's perfectly fine. I'm looking for the thing that I need. And so will people be too with your content. They'll be looking, we're all searching, we're all trying to connect and find what we need. And that's the power of telling our stories and sharing our experiences, right? It helps people discover you and they get what they need, which is the point. And so I just want to talk about how I did have a fear of this for a long time. Now, by nature, I'm not an extrovert. It's called ambivert. It's like a 50-50 mix between extrovert and introvert. All my life, people had tagged me as talk too much, too loud, too this, too that. However, I have an introverted side that's very withdrawn and can be very quiet, which is actually how I focus and get my work done. And so it after a while, after time, just the part of me that was just more withdrawn, a little bit more reserved, started taking over, and I started becoming afraid to put myself out there. And it wasn't bad for a season. Maybe I needed to be that way. Maybe I needed to just withdraw, especially with facing who I was, reconnecting to my birth family, and going on that whole adoptee search. And then once I found what I was looking for, I had to take some time to deal with what I found, to see how it impacted me, to integrate it into my life, decide how I would view it. This is just a whole process that I went through. And that was not an overnight process. That took me years. It's been over 10 years, I think 11 now, since I reconnected to my birth family. And so, in that, what I'm saying is that during that time, I did withdraw a lot and I just started turning inward. And so, when it was time for me, I felt God pushing me out of my shell. And I was like, no, I done spent my whole life getting told that I talk too much, blah, blah, blah. So I don't have nothing to say now, right? And so God was like, yes, you do. You have a lot to say, and I want to shape how you say it. I want to shape how you share it, but you have a lot to say. And so I started realizing that I had developed over time just these fears of being on camera, the fear of being seen, the fear of sharing, talking again. And that came with internalized stuff that people had said over the years. Not all of it bad, some of it good, some of it constructive criticism. Some of it was meant to harm me. A lot of people did want to shut down my light. They didn't want me to keep sharing, to keep evolving and keep growing. But some of it was constructive, but I over internalized it and maybe just decided at some point, hey, I'm just going to be quiet. And so when it was time for me to open back up, I had a fear of being on camera, a fear of being seen. And so I just want to share some tips to you because potentially this resonates with you. Maybe you're kind of having a little anxiety. This doesn't mean you're shy or that you're not used to talking, but doing it in this format is different, right? And so I want to share some tips. One of the tips that I share first is breathe, literally breathe in, breathe out. And so, what I found as a speaker, what breathing does, it just helps me pace my cadence, helps me remember what I have to say, but it knocks my nervous tension down tremendously, right? Because sometimes we can have just, nerves and tension, and it's not necessarily because you're just so afraid. It's just, it's important. The magnitude of what you're doing may be weighing on you. You want to get it right. Some people are perfectionists. Some people just want to get everything right. And so sometimes we put like a lot of pressure on ourselves, and it causes us to have anxiety. And so that's how we release that anxiety. And so my next tip is, don't try to be someone that you're not. This is important. And so for my journey, this goes back to the inner work I had to do to just deal with my confidence, to chip away at some of the things that I felt like weren't good, uncover them, become more and more and more myself. So that as I reemerged, as I started this YouTube channel, I could show up as myself, right? Don't try to be someone you're not. Being someone you're not is the quickest way for people to not look at whatever it is you're doing, to not take you seriously. People can see through that. It's interesting. People can just detect authenticity. They just can. Most people can. So, and it's not bad, right? Detecting and judging and like using our senses is how we decide, oh yeah, I want to listen to this person, or nope, I don't really want to listen to them, right? So definitely don't try to be somewhere you're not. I want to also offer another tip, that is, keep going until you're comfortable. This is huge. And so the more you do something, the more comfortable you become, right? It is not an overnight thing. This is something that you just need to continually do. Something that as you keep doing it, you become comfortable. For me, I think at first I wanted to be comfortable and then do it. And I was waiting and I was waiting and I was waiting. And I wasn't going to just be comfortable, like boom. I had to get in. I had to start experimenting. I have to different, parts of my office where I record. Do I want to be sitting at my desk with a different background? Right now I'm sitting on an ottoman next to my desk. Like, just having to experiment, having to decide, like, this is what I want to do. This is comfortable. This isn't comfortable. Should I stand? Should I sit? Right? Should I try to read everything, or should I just free flow? Out for notes, I mean. And so definitely I want to encourage you that you're just gonna have to keep going until you're comfortable, till you hit that stride. And you'll know when you hit that stride, right? It'll just feel good, it'll come off better, it'll be more authentic. And so yeah, that's some of the tips that I want to share. I want to also share, make some notes about what it is you want to talk about. So I do this. I'll even say, hey, I'm referring to my notes so people know what I'm doing when I'm looking down. Um, yeah, definitely outline, right? It doesn't have to be verbatim what you say, but just get a gist or an idea of what you want to start sharing. And I think that's very helpful. It keeps you on topic. um, One of the things I've shared is I've always been told I talk too much. True, this is true. And so I'll start rambling, rambling, rambling. Like right now, I could just start talking and could be on here probably like an hour with a free flow stream of consciousness. And maybe I'll get on here and do that one day. Like, maybe that's not a bad thing always. But for my audience to just get in there, share what I want to share. I know people have a lot going on, people are busy. What's your point, right? And so making some notes, definitely just having that flow established, I think is a really, really good way to stay on topic, keep your audience engaged, keep your mind on what you're supposed to be talking about, right? And just not allowing yourself to just be all over the place. And so those are some of my tips. But yeah, I definitely want to encourage anyone who's thinking about starting their YouTube channel to just go ahead and get started with that journey. Jump on in there. We need your story. I'm telling you, I really feel it strongly. I don't know who this is for, but you are sitting on a story that the world needs. You are sitting on a life-changing, shifting story. We need to hear it. We need to see you. We need to understand that you overcame this thing. We need to know whatever it is that you are hiding. And I think that you know who you are. You've been feeling that tug. You've been feeling God say, now is the time. You know you're supposed to be sharing your story. And so share it. Share it on whatever platform. I'm on YouTube, so I'm telling you, YouTube is powerful, but there are other platforms. I think the important thing is to get out and share your story. Get out of yourself, come out of your shell, because we are waiting literally on what it is that you have to offer. We need you, right? And do not underestimate how powerful your story and your life is. Um, Former President Jimmy Carter just recently died, and I was looking at, his funeral and just bits and pieces about his life. And his life is just such a beautiful story that we need. We need bits and pieces of the narrative. Nobody's perfect, right? But the parts that stood out to me was just about, how he just did so much good, how he didn't just, talk, but he walked it like he talked it, like he was a good example of a life well lived. And so you two have an example that we need, right? And for me, I share a lot about overcoming low self-confidence. I share about reconnecting to my birth family and how that shifted me and all of the changes that I went through to start emerging and becoming the person that you see sitting before you. But that took a lot of inner work. I mean, that took a long time, honey. Child, it took like a decade. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some people it won't take so long. Don't freak out. Some people it'll be shorter than that. My story, the things I faced, the way it all happened, found my family, moved 13 hours away from the state I was from with my husband. He did a job relocation. Just boom, boom, boom. I had all of these major life changes that were very crushing, that were very big and pivotal all happening at the same time. And so it took me a while. A lot of parts of what I was discovering, it kind of stopped me in my tracks. It was jarring. It was hard. When I went to reconnect with my birth family, my birth mother had already died. So I didn't get to meet her. I didn't get to speak with her about any of it. And so just that portion alone took some time for me to just delve through and work through. And while I was doing that, I was just not talking and sharing a lot. I mean, I have friends who I would talk to a lot, and then I had like different communities, adoptee communities. I had a therapist. I'm married, my husband. But during that time, I really was in a shell. And so I'm not saying everybody's story is like that, because like I keep saying, your story is your story. But my point, we definitely need to hear what you have to offer. And so, with that, just want to encourage you to face the fear of being on camera. It helped me and it can definitely help you. I am Kimberly Carter and I appreciate you for watching this video. Drop a comment. Let me know. Do you have a fear of being on camera? Drop an emoji. I like the one where like the emojis like that. That's one of my favorites. So if you want to drop that, I'll know you mean I got a little bit of anxiety about being on camera. However you want to describe it, definitely hit me with some comments about it. Let me know, are you going to be facing your fears of being on camera this year? Let me know. And so again, I'm Kimberly Carter and